Yeah, we're live.
Sweet. You are live.
Welcome to another founder chat. What are we? 42?
Is
Did
it
this
really?
42 times already
Dang.
with a total of 42 views.
Right? That's a person every episode.
Yeah. I'll say a quick funny story. I decided last week that we were going to start vlogging again.
Yes.
I said, you know what? Let's start vlogging. It's been about 6 months or so, maybe more.
Mhm.
We'll do a little mid-year update. And so I started, I got all cocky. I put the boom mic on the camera.
You had
I
the,
pulled out
stabilizer.
the little gimbal, whatever,
Yep.
which I couldn't get to work. So I just abandoned it and I just raw dogged the camera.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, let's go. And I start filming people around the office and we start going into what we're doing. And then I go to pull the footage. It has no audio. None of it. So I'm like, you know
True
what?
B-roll, dude. True B-roll.
Just straight B-roll.
Right?
Exactly. And I'm like, you know what? I quit. So I quit. I'm done. Until we can bring another D-Rock, up in here. then
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to stick to this format. So I figured today would be we can just do an update.
Yeah.
I love documenting where we're at in our journey, and the vlog traditionally was that.
Yeah.
And since it's a little harder for us to do right now, we can just chat about it. A lot of stuff has happened in 6 months.
Yeah, it has.
Right? I mean, just even I'm pulling up my bullets here. Even from when we started the year, right? In January.
Mm-hmm.
We really had no idea where this year was going to go. 2023 was, and not just for us, for a lot of people, was a tough year. It was
rocky.
Rocky. It was down, market correction, whatever you want to call it. And I feel like towards the end of the year, AI kind of saved us.
Yeah.
The second half of the year, but we were still in sort of, I don't know, recovery mode. We were trying to hold it together, try to, keep our team as intact as possible and all that stuff. And so we went into January still a little uncertain, hopeful, but uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
Hopeful because AI.
Yeah.
And also because we were in it. We were already doing events. We were sponsoring events. We were partnering with VCs that were investing in AI.
Yeah.
And so it felt like we were on the right track. But
yeah, we had a plan, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but we still had no clue. And then January rolls around and we were still like, we had a couple of meetings where we were still like, what are we going to do? It's still not looking like we see some light. I was feeling a little grim for a moment. And then I don't know if I've said this story in any channel or anywhere yet, but then I go on a limb and on a weekend on Twitter, on X, and I'm seeing a tweet from Marcus Lemonis, the prophet, who we've been following for 10 years, right? At least.
Yes.
Probably seen every
CNBC.
episode of The Prophet.
Mm-hmm.
Probably every episode. We've always talked about, man, how cool would it be this is when we were doing small business.
Yeah.
Turnaround stuff.
Oh, yeah. We were looking at it like, man, imagine just like flipping businesses like that.
Yeah.
We talked about it all the time.
Right. And we said, man, if there was a way we can even reach out to them and say, hey, while you're in the middle of a flip,
right,
it'd be a good partner for you.
Because he'd throw up a new sign or a new something. We're like,
we do new branding sometimes.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, that could have been better. Maybe,
exactly. And so that was always sort of in our mind. And then now where we are today, I'm like, well, that would have only gone so far.
Right.
And obviously we're a different agency now than we ever imagined. We're startup focused and whatnot. So anyways, he posted a challenge. I'm putting you on the spot, Nate, our producer in the background there. If you could find the original tweet, it's probably in that Fast Company article. Fast Company did do a little story on us. That's for another time. So yeah, he posts we'll pay $10K for best brand ideas.
Right.
For Beyond.
Yeah.
And so I dug a little bit, and turns out he's the new executive chairman of Beyond, which was Overstock.
Right.
Became Beyond.
Right.
But not Bed Bath & Beyond, just Beyond.
Right.
but then they bought the rights to Bed Bath and Beyond, which was insolvent or bankrupt, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so you had to dig a little bit and figure out what it was.
Yeah.
I'm watching this tweet and I'm looking at all this stuff come in.
And it's what you would expect
Yeah, I mean, from a contest on
on
Twitter, that's
yeah.
exactly what you would expect. And it was just
Like 99 designs, you know.
worse.
Worse. Yeah.
Worse. I couldn't believe some of the stuff that was getting submitted. And
Mhm.
so I got with our boy Uru and I said, hey man, you're down for a weekend project.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about the money, right? It's never about the money. I said it. In fact, I offered him half of the purse.
Yeah, you did. I
said,
remember that.
Yeah, I said, I'll give you half, man, if you want to do this.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, we threw up some ideas and it stood out, like it was obvious. And so then he's DMing me, and next thing you know, he's calling me. Next thing you know, we end up winning, right?
Yeah.
We win the contest. He blasted all over. He mentioned Sightbox,
Yes.
not me personally, but the agency.
Yeah.
And then he ends up digging more about us. What do you guys do? And so it turns out he's in the middle of a flip, the biggest flip, arguably
corporate
ever.
flip.
A corporate flip where he's restructuring the company, he's rebranding it, he's trying to get ready for this shareholders call at the end of February. And man, talk about timing. A few days, into this thing, he flies his executive team out here to meet with us and
On a private jet.
yeah.
You know, they'll be there tomorrow.
We'll be there. You guys are going to be there tomorrow? We'll be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they all end up here. We end up pitching a lot of creative work.
Yeah.
Past the branding, more of the, the theme and website and all this stuff. And we end up doing all of it.
Yeah.
And so it turned into a really cool thing. And then one thing led to the other. Next thing you know, we're doing, I don't know, what else? I mean, we got into Bed Bath and
backyard.com.
Backyard.
And really Marcus's goal with the company really was to sort of increase shareholder value, obviously. But he was sort of using a playbook that he did for Camping World, which was sort of becoming a very inclusive space for people who own homes, essentially, or just home life. So Camping World has sort of done the same thing. And so you'll see here, like one of the first things they did is offer sort of these services on top of what Bed Bath and Beyond was known for. And so you can now, or I think you can now get insurance.
Yeah,
or
click
a
on
home
case
equity.
study there, Nate. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they're starting to roll in some other services and stuff. So it's essentially diversifying that category a bit.
Yeah.
With that same customer base.
And here's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
I'll point out two things. One is we use the AI. So you'll see here in this image, we used Midjourney to generate some of the images in our pitch.
Yeah.
And they were just mind blown, right, at
Yes.
the opportunity here and possibilities, because they traditionally they shoot everything old school, right? They have a studio in-house,
right,
in their headquarters in Utah. And so they spend thousands and thousands of dollars trying to produce images. And granted, not all of these are AI, but a lot of them are.
Yeah.
And so we were able to sort of come up with a huge library of images that kind of fell in line with the branding here. But also I'll point this out too, because I just finished saying how we didn't, the small business sector wouldn't have worked out for us because of where we are today. The reason why Beyond worked out for us, even though they're a public company and they're more consumer and e-commerce, is because of Marcus. Because I see this more like he's the founder. He's treating this company like he's the founder. In fact, he doesn't even have a salary. He is on one of those what you call it, Elon pay packages, right? Where his pay is tied to the performance of the stock, and so that's where he's gonna win. And so this is very meaningful to him. And so we were really a great partner, because I mean, you see it in the quote here too. we were able to execute at the speed, right?
Yeah.
At a speed that only a startup, somebody who understands startups could operate,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, it's funny because, you know, you see them on the Profit, right? And they have these ridiculous deadlines, right? They'll be like, okay, we're going to flip this store in 24 hours, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody out, and like tomorrow morning it's going to be done, right? And you're like, that sounds crazy. That sounds like Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's actual speed. That's
Yes.
that's
And you know
the
how he
speed.
has that speed too? What is the first thing he says when he writes that check? He's, I'm 100% in charge.
Yes,
I don't care who the CEO or the owner is.
I'm calling the shot.
I'm calling the shots,
Yeah.
or else
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Right.
And he does that here
Yeah.
quite
Yeah,
a bit.
He does.
And so,
He does.
I mean, we could talk about these guys for the whole 30 minutes, but I mean, it's just been super cool to
Yeah.
work
Oh,
with
it's
Marcus
crazy.
and
It's
and
crazy.
these guys.
And
And we ended up taking on Overstock as well.
that's right.
And
That's right.
so we just did an AI commercial, which we'll try and link it somehow.
Well,
'cause
once it's launched.
Yeah,
we have
because
to-
we can't.
yeah.
It's not launched yet, but we did a commercial completely using AI
right.
with Marcus Lemonis starring in the commercial. Just super cool.
Yeah, which started out really just as a idea pitch, and then next
That's
thing you know, it's
100%
like,
what
all
it
right,
was. We pitched.
do it for real.
we had this idea for a video that kind of in the vein of Dollar Shave Club,
Yeah,
and then Nathan put together a voiceover of Marcus using what's the tool?
11 Labs.
11 Labs. It
Yeah.
sounded to me at least like
yeah,
him,
it sounds
enough.
a lot like him.
and I was like, that's pretty cool. What if we stitch it together with some imagery?
Yep.
And then we used some image, some generative AI to
Yeah. We're
get
like, oh,
pictures of Marcus.
Yeah, we're like, oh well, because there's enough images of him out there.
yeah.
That Midjourney would be like, oh, I know what
Right.
Marcus Lemonis looks like. So you could throw him in whatever scenario
And then
you
you,
really wanted.
and then Suno Mars over here created some banger of a track.
Maybe some tracks down.
and
Yeah,
stitched it together, and
pretty
we thought we were
convincing.
pitching a video that we would probably win, right?
Yeah.
Or convince them to do.
to produce.
And the Marcus style, which is kind of the genius of him a little bit. He
Yeah.
said, you know what? Love this video, but why don't we just make that the commercial
right,
and say that it's AI?
right.
Because I didn't have to spend money on this commercial.
Yeah.
So I could save you the money, pass you the savings,
Right.
right? And I
Right.
was like, that actually could work. And that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah. It is one of those moments, and I'll just say that it's like one of those moments where you're like, this is either a great idea or the dumbest thing we've ever done. And it's probably a little bit of both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
just sort of like it's sort of polarizing
Yeah.
kind of work. But that's the genius of it, is it's nothing. Honestly, I mean, I felt like we were taking risks even sort of pitching it. But Marcus is like, no, we're running it.
Yeah.
So like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's how we're playing this.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And it
it's
turned out
great.
It turned out pretty great.
Yeah.
We used some face swap tools, AI tools also,
Yeah,
to get the face a little bit more on the nose, and it did. I mean, it looks like Marcus,
it does. Yeah,
and the speed of the video, you kind of forgive some of the quality of those shots.
yeah,
But man, we're gonna be sitting here 6 months, 9 months, 12 months from now saying the same thing, but we would have used probably generative video by then,
yes.
because
We
it's
almost
already
did.
we almost did. Yeah,
We tried it because what was it? The Luma or
Luma came out like
just
that week.
that week.
we were doing
yeah.
that.
So we actually threw some clips in
Yeah,
and had them animate. But the problem was when it was a still frame
yeah,
and it was like it narrated over it.
yeah.
But once you saw him and he was like just standing there not talking, it kind of felt kind of
Yeah,
creepy.
yeah.
So
And then Runway announced their 3 model, the third
Yeah.
generation. But we don't have access to it yet. I thought it was available and it wasn't. I
Yeah.
tried with version 2 and it did some funky stuff.
I feel like all these guys are kind of sitting on stuff, right? Because they're only putting it out because of that launch,
Yeah, for sure.
right?
For
So it's
sure.
like, oh yeah, you think
Yeah.
you're hot stuff? Here's
yeah,
ours.
what they don't tell you is what went into, like we always play around that generative AI is like a slot machine, right?
Yes.
You hit your prompt and then you just go,
Yeah.
ding, you know,
Wait for it. Yeah.
and
Oh.
you're like, man, let's do that again. Yeah. And then finally you're like, yeah, right.
That one's
Let's go.
good.
Let's
All
go
right.
down this rabbit hole.
Right.
With video, the stuff you see, mostly in Twitter's where I see it, is so good that they just prompted the hell out of that thing to
Yeah.
get it perfect, and then
Right.
shared it.
Right.
But whatever, like it'll get there
It'll get there.
eventually. Let's move on to clients.
Yes.
Again, it went from January, and then February, this Beyond stuff came in and just kind of took over a lot of what we were doing. But at the same time, all this other stuff started developing. We mentioned AI. We launched a site for Brev,
That's
right? And
Yep.
and in fact, we're speaking with them tomorrow. They're ready to sort of discuss some more stuff. They're actually, I think, already products already in some hands. Saw a demo of it on LinkedIn. I think I sent you
Yeah, I saw
a
the
video. Man, these guys are on it. Shout out to Chris Pitchford at Brev.
Yeah, crushing it.
Short for brevity. Right?
Yes, short for brevity, which is
short for brevity.
which is the I love the wit.
Yeah, and yeah, we had fun working with Chris on this launch.
Mm-hmm.
Super smart guy, and he's onto something for sure.
Oh yeah.
I think, I mean, I watched the demo, and I mean, he spit out a review, a business review. What do you call these things?
Yeah, business reviews. Like if you're a part of a company and you're a head, VP of some division,
Yeah.
And you have to give quarterly reviews or monthly reviews. This uses AI to build those reports, and it's
Yep.
yeah, he built one like on the fly,
Yeah, totally.
just
And he
in a
had
demo
his
in like 5 minutes.
he had his CRM
Mhm.
hooked up.
Yeah,
He had his Slack connected. He had Google Docs connected, and he just said, for this piece, grab this sheet, grab it from here. For this piece, go to my Salesforce. For this piece, go to the Slack channel,
Mhm.
and the thing just starts
Right.
populating.
Right.
I mean, super powerful.
And he's
stuff.
even telling it like go a little further with this
Yep.
one, and does it again.
Right.
So it's like it's
Yeah, super
super
cool. Upshelf
up shelf.
is
Yeah.
another one. Those are
Yes.
some AI in there, right?
Oh yeah. So they manage e-commerce sites for all sorts of different e-commerce companies, and they check supply and demand and make sure everything on their sites are good through
Yeah.
distribution.
And with these guys, we did a whole rebrand as
Yeah, I
well.
did a whole rebrand, a whole new website.
Little product.
Yeah, through some AI, trying to
Productization.
market it a little bit. You'll see here. Once it loads. Yeah, Arrow.
Master Market.
Yeah,
Yeah, this stuff turned out really great.
yeah. So really trying to make it clear how to use this product for those customers.
And we did a whole refresh.
And that's all AI too.
Yeah.
All these characters.
So a lot of AI stuff. A little throwback here. Little Web3, Fiant.
Fiant. Yes.
We did
yes.
that one was a renaming,
Oh yeah.
a rebrand, but also a naming project.
Yes.
Took a while to get there, but
It did.
it came out really great. And these guys do payment, right?
That's right.
Infrastructure for like gaming, the blockchain.
Just really, yeah, it's mostly for gaming companies that are trying to create sort of economies.
Mm-hmm.
So you think of like Roblox and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That you're thinking like, companies smaller than Roblox that want to have their own payment systems. They don't want to create them from the ground up. So they'll use Fiant as a gateway. Plus, Fiant does a lot of work in the regulatory space.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not, they're like, it's not just the tool. It's also like making sure that everything is good to go. And you're not breaking any laws.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No,
so,
that stuff came out really nice.
yeah, I think it came
Those
out
guys
really
were
smart.
cool to work with.
Yep.
And then part of our I'll call it our accelerator / advisory.
Yes.
We took one company into our accelerator instead of 3,
yes.
but it was quite a learning experience.
Yes.
Cascade, and we actually helped them pivot on top of
Yes.
just a rebrand, right?
That's
We
right.
sort of dove in and realized that this generative AI space is super crowded and competitive, and
Yeah.
you know, the big guys are going to win always here.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about that pivot.
Yeah. So one of the things that we noticed right off the bat with Cascade was they were able to create images extremely fast. So they had figured out how to sort of optimize some of these engines to go just really quick. And like Charlie said, like we kind of felt like the space in generative AI was getting really crowded. And we said, well, why don't we kind of go after stock photography? Because it kind of gives you that sense that, you know, at the rate that these things are generating, it was sort of like a stock photography feed. And so we're sort of bridging this gap between stock and generative AI.
Yeah, and like
commercial
you saw
use.
there, it's just a search bar.
It's just a search
Not
bar.
a prompt.
It's not a prompt. We're sort of creating this, what I'm trying to remember the word we use, but it's sort of this, sort of a visual way of
Mhm.
directing things. So what you find is you'll generate an image and you'll click that image and you'll say, okay, sort of here's what I like about it. Do more of this. And so it's not prompt engineering. It's like image engineering.
Right.
And so it's a bit different that way.
Yeah.
So pretty excited about what they're doing.
And actually, Cascade, we met the guys from Segmind
That's right.
through Cascade, which we're advisors on. And those guys, it's a little bit of strategy and product market fit, promise market fit.
Promise market fit. There you go.
And so
Yep.
we're getting pretty deep in with those guys. If you pull up that one, Segmind, that one's really cool. We're actually working on a new website as well.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. But yeah, these guys talk a little bit about the creative control and you mentioned the yin and the yang of that, right?
Yeah.
Like Figma has a little bit of.
Yeah. So if you think of how sort of Figma has dual audiences, they're for developers and for designers. And so Segmind has sort of done a similar thing where they've taken generative AI and broken it into segments. So this is one thing that sort of doesn't exist with most. We were just talking about prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is sort of like a one and done approach. You sort of create these massive prompts or real quick prompts, whatever it is, and you sort of get what you get. What Segmind does though is you're able to string together prompts in steps, and so you can sort of create, if you think of it like you can create a background with one step.
Yeah.
You can create then a character, then you can change what the character's wearing or what they do. And so it's a way to control the process step by step, and it integrates it all in one go. And so not only do you have like full creative control, but then the developers can go in and actually create automated workflows so that you're able to just drop in multiple images and have it process it on the way out. So it makes it much more sort of ready for scale. You can sort of think of it as like batch, it like does batches, right?
Sure.
And so, depending on the size of your company and the assets you're creating, it saves a ton of time.
But with less of we talk about the slot machine effect, right? Or metaphor.
Right.
Now with the Segmind, you can actually visually string these models together, see the output, and then test them multiple times against different images and prompts.
That's right.
And then when you're happy with the result, then you just publish the API and you're off to the races.
Yeah.
Right. And you can do that. I mean, there's hundreds of models right? If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, hundreds. Yeah.
Right. And so these guys are adding models like every day.
Yeah.
That do different things and super powerful stuff.
Yeah.
I think these guys are
definitely onto something.
Let's move over since we're running out of our time here. We have a meeting at 3:30 actually. Let me see here. BCs. Got some new collaborations there.
Yes,
we've been working with Jeremiah, the Llama Lounge, those guys for a while now, but we just did a whole refresh for Blitzscaling Ventures.
Uh-huh.
So they're super happy about it. They're investing. They've got an AI fund that Jeremiah's running.
Yes.
So we're getting to know some of those folks as well.
Yeah, love
And,
Blitzscaling. Chris,
yeah, doing
Chris
more
Ye
events with
and-
them.
Yeah,
Super stoked about that.
that's super.
We're doing some stuff for Matic Capital and Omni Ventures.
Omni Ventures. Yeah.
And we've got a couple others that we're talking to. And so, VCs, they're,
Come on down.
yeah. I mean, they've been super cool to work with. And it seems
Yeah.
like, no brainer for us to be, collaborating and partnering with them on all this stuff because we speak the same language.
Yeah,
And it's been really, really cool.
right. And it's really cool at kind of lifting them up as well.
Yeah.
Right? Giving them a platform to express what they do. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So lots of stuff going on. Last thing I'll mention is Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
We've been trying to crack that market for years,
Yes.
and we even debated opening an office last year,
Yes.
even despite how rough things got. We said,
Mhm.
well, let's just maybe we need to do something bold like that and try to mix it up and get into that market. And it turns out we're doing some work, I would call it collaboration
Yeah.
with a group called Next Practices, Bob Pearson and a bunch of guys out there. And it's been awesome. They just built out a whole new office out there. We were there for South by Southwest
Mm-hmm.
in March. We hung out with those guys. They did an event. They unveiled their new office. We signed a little team agreement just to be able to collaborate on projects. And it's been awesome. We came back. We've been back, since. And we've had meetings there. We've met clients there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, for wanting an office there, you couldn't have asked for anything better. The
No,
place
it's
is
incredible.
super cool,
It's
and
incredible.
those guys are awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna see a lot more collaboration happening out of Austin, specifically with working with those guys.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's been
We're real
super
lucky
cool.
to found these guys, I think.
Yeah,
It's
they're
been really
super
good.
super cool guys. So lots of stuff happening. I'll try to do more updates like this, but
Yeah.
I think there's probably a lot that we didn't cover, but it gives
That's
you
a
kind
lot
of
though. That's a lot for 6
Yeah.
months. Literally
Yeah, not
6
bad,
months.
right? not bad. The building is still standing.
So far, it's crumbling a little
it is
bit.
crumbling, the bricks, but the lights still go on. And
Yeah.
the AC works, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so far so good. So
Knock on
there you
wood,
have
right?
it. Till next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.